Good. Okay. Big John Dub back in the house, ladies and gentlemen, for numero 52. We are here. We've made it to 52 of the Shelor Select. It's weird. Didn't think it would take off or go this far, but we have made it happen with one of the good friends that I have on here has helped me put a lot of episodes, especially in the early days. Like I said, I already introduced him, Big John W. He's back. What's up, man?
Another exciting day. Figure I'll crack a little for the special occasion, Lagavulin 16.
Woo!
Of course, the blurred background doesn't usually get it, but yeah, man.
Nice touch with the Lagavulin, man. Nice touch.
So how you been, man?
I've been good. I've been good 1 year in. Like I said, I didn't think after, I think you were there on the fourth episode with me, and I didn't think after that, it was really going to start taking off. I thought I was going to get bored with it and it was going to slow down. And I thought, just after a few episodes, like, all right, I had my fun. I'm done with it. But 1 year in now, man, look at us. We're here. I mean, it's grown. We're growing a little bit, but
it's a beautiful thing, like I'm pulling you up on YouTube right now. And, we were talking a little bit ago about how you've been able to really kind of find that sweet spot of talking to just everybody. And, you've got a lot of PhDs, a lot of people from different backgrounds. You've got multiple individuals, just talking to Devin about, when we did that episode and stuff like that. Like, you've been really able to get in there and talk to people and get to know them, as well as, a little bit from us getting to know you. So it's been fun, man, getting to watch videos and seeing you do that and grow. So
yeah, I mean, that's one of the cool things, when I first started this, I thought it would really like just be you and my closest friends and stuff, just bullshitting on here and talking about video games and Twitter. And it was just, like something to do to pass the pandemic time. But it's been really nice. Just, these few people, or not few people, but the people I've had on here, just getting to know them and their way of life and what they're into. And, it's broadened my horizons for sure. And yeah, it just gives you a whole new outlook on life almost. I think. It's like there's, it's a big picture out there.
Yeah, you get to travel all over the world and never leave your chair.
Yeah, really, bro. I mean, really, that's a good way to put it. But
it's been fun being on the episodes. Like, I think this is 4 or 5 now. We've gotten together and child with that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but one good thing, keeps us in touch with each other. And we actually sit down and talk about, some, I mean, not serious topics, but some other topics rather than just, hey, how was Gears last night, bro? Oh, okay.
It was trash. It stays like trash.
What whiskey you drinking? Like, it's just us, and I get a feel for how you feel about certain stuff and me about certain stuff, and just just shoot the shit, man.
Yeah, it's been good.
Yeah, bro. But
speaking of Back for Blood, that was a good transition. We've been able to play that instead of Gears, and the relentless just disappointment that is that game over the last couple of years we played it. I'm looking forward to Gear 6, and hopefully all the writers just aren't there at all. Maybe bring back a little input from Cliffy B and get it back to its roots of more of a run and gun instead of a squad-based tactical big gaming kind of shooter that was never meant to be that. It wasn't meant to be Halo. It wasn't meant to be like Unreal Tournament. It was always meant to be that like story progression gameplay style, at least in my opinion. And maybe I'm wrong. Fuck it. Who cares? But I'm not enjoying number 5. But Back for Blood was good. We've been able to get some gaming done on that.
Well, do you think that because of the success of Halo and Fortnite and Call of Duty, that's the reason they try to change everything back into like go down that way, and let's say we'll get more out of it with our more money?
But they shit the bed really hard because that's not what the core fan base was about. That's why they're seeing abandonment rates like they are, and it's like, look, they're trying to be what they aren't. What is it? I'm trying to remember who said, "Don't be a second rate somebody else, be a first rate yourself." And I always appreciated that because you can imitate or innovate, and there's just not been any innovation from Gears. Like Gears really had that, first 3 big video game push where it's like, okay, we're going to try different weapons. We're going to play a little bit with the play style to see, what the actual players, the fans are looking for. And now it's just like, hey, we're gonna make it like these other cash cows that we're gonna try to sell you some skins and do all this
Mhm.
stuff. And it's like, look, I get it, but that's not where your bread and butter is. And now you just made some hybrid bastardized game that's not fun.
Yeah, I mean, I agree 100%. I mean, stick with your bread and butter, especially when you had success, and don't sell out just because, Fortnite and Call of Duty and whatever have you. So, I mean, yeah, they're having big success, but like you said, you got a core group right there that is, loyal to the game. And then it's disheartening when they just like, all right, we're trying to be something we're not now. And
Nope.
yeah, but I mean, I guess I kind of get it. They're trying to make as much money as you can. I mean, they want to get their piece of the pie, but it's also, yeah.
Microsoft bought Bungie, and like they really tried to take the Halo, because I'm looking forward to the Halo release. And they're trying to push it back into the Master Chief realm because they did what was it? Not Halo Heroes. What was the Halo game where Master Chief wasn't in it? It was
Like,
kind of decent.
was it that strategy game?
Not the
Halo
strat one. It was the
Reach? No,
was it Reach?
for some reason, Reach is coming to my head. Let's get on a Google.
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember. Not Infinite, not Wars, not Guardians. It was which one was it? Was it 4? Was Halo 4 where they tried to diverge away from
That
Master Chief?
that might be right, dude. I can't even remember back that far now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the problem is it was mostly forgettable, but now they're trying to get back on track, and we'll see how they do it. But so let's focus on the important things today, Mr. Chris Sheeler. So
Perfect.
52, 1 year in, weekly episodes. You went from looking for people to be on your show now to where I'm having to fight to get the queue in, trying to be like, oh man, me too, me too.
Yeah.
So, what do you think is the greatest improvement over the last year for either your guests or how you do things? Like, what was the thing that really kind of helping you find your special sauce?
Ooh, I think it was to find my secret or my special sauce. Honestly, I think it was just, staying true to, like you just said, making sure I release an episode at least once a week. And then also just putting in, everything they say you're supposed to put in 10,000 hours to become a expert at it. And I'm nowhere near 10,000 hours, but it's obviously the more you do something, the better you get. So I just found myself like I would get more comfortable. I would actually try to actually listen to what people were saying, and like it's like a little dance of what you're saying. Like, oh, okay, now can I come back with? And that's going to be somewhat relevant, something that's going to be informational, and just keep the conversation going. And and I'm not giving myself a big pat on the back by any means, because I mean I'm still it's nothing great. We're not Joe Rogan status or any of those Dak Shepard or Two Bears One Cave or anything. But I just noticed myself though having these conversations. I feel like I've learned to listen, learn to talk more, or talk better with people. And actually, when they have something to say, I'm actually listening to what they say as opposed to just thinking about what's already in my head and just saying that's something that's not really relative at all. It's just whatever. I'm just waiting for my turn to say something. If that makes sense.
It makes a ton of sense. And
Yeah.
that's when I was in consulting, and I guess it never leaves you once you get into that consulting mindset where you're talking to people. And one of the biggest complaints that my senior leadership helped, when they were mentoring me, was the idea that a person will come in, and we'll say a consultant, but it could be like a doctor is actually a really good example, or somebody that's a very good at their field will come in and they already know what they're going to say, and they'll have a response. And someone's like, hey, I've got a pain in my side, and the doctor's like, oh yeah, we'll make sure to get you an ice pack for your foot. And you're like, wait, that's not what I'm talking about. And not being heard, listened to, or being in an engaging conversation was one of the biggest ways to lose client confidence, lose sales, lose any kind of ability to grow and mature the relationship, because it's ultimately, what everything is relationships when it comes down to it.
Sure.
Being able to hear you say that now you're more actively engaged, and that you're not queued up, you're
Yeah.
ingesting, digesting the information, and then you're like, okay, how do I, add value or ask the next question to learn more. And that's really cool to hear.
Yeah. I mean, before doing this, it felt like, I always felt like I don't want to say socially awkward or had crippling social anxiety, but I always felt like, when we were talking about, tough topics or topics that are not fun to hear, unless they were just, drinking.
COVID.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. COVID, politics, religion, whatever. And not that we take, or I've taken deep dives on those topics, but I would always like, shy away and stuff like that. But, I also found myself actually trying to, I don't watch the news a lot, but I try to, at least see, what the headlines are, and like try to form my own opinions. And that way, when these things do come up, I actually can say, okay, this is what I've read about it. This is what little I know. And that way we can actually sit down and debate it and talk about it. And not me just saying, oh, this is what it is. We're done here. Blah, blah, blah. It's just, that's one good thing for me. It's like, hey, all right, now I'm actually trying to educate myself constantly, even more, just to stay fresh with things, and like I said, and I feel like my conversational skills have improved. I mean, they're not 100% the best at all by any means, but that's one good thing I've noticed about myself, though. Even when I'm just having private conversations at the gym or at your wedding, for example, it's like, oh, this,
Shout out for that, huh?
yeah, bro,
Actually,
yeah, oh yeah. Since John came back, ladies and gentlemen, he has now hit life milestone. I guess you should say he is a married man.
yeah, I'm
Achievement
officially,
unlocked.
dude, established goal there. That wasn't even a goal this time last year. It was like, all right, you know, I was just telling the missus, like a year and a half ago, if you'd have told me I'd be dating somebody, fall in love, getting married, I'd been like, yeah, I'm also going to light my balls on fire and run around Times Square. That also sounds like a pretty good idea. And like, nah, but it happened. So,
What
woo,
did you have that goal even when you were younger, you think? Or just
shit, no,
did you just want to be married, or
no,
you didn't
no,
think you'd ever
God,
be
no,
married?
no. I was terrified, and
You were terrified of marriage?
oh yeah,
Really?
absolutely. But yeah, I was raised of like, don't get married. There's plenty of fish in the sea, and if you want fish, just go fishing. No need to try to set up a boat on the ocean, make love to a fish. I mean, it's really kind of years and years of various influences in my life breaking down and saying like, no, no, you don't want to get married. And now it's you know a complete 180. But it was right girl, right time, and
Mhm.
it worked out well.
Yeah,
So here we are.
yeah. I mean, growing up, I used to hear that stuff all the time. It's like, yeah, just don't focus on one lady, and that there is plenty of fish in the sea, and then if you lose one, it's easy to go find another one. And so I never had that mindset. It was just like, yeah, I wanted to get married really young. It was just kind of like, if it happens, cool. But I knew I wanted to be married eventually, but it wasn't like, oh, I got to get married here, like right after high school or college. But yeah, I had the same kind of, I guess, little quips that people would share along with me like that. I was like, "Yeah, man, don't worry about it. Just they'll take all your money and you'll be left with
Yeah,
nothing. And yeah, if you want to be rich, stay single and blah blah blah."
all that shit. And it's funny you mentioned the stay rich and stay single. As I guess cisgendered mid 30s males in the United States, raised in the Southern Appalachian environment. We're very much judged on what we bring to the table as providers, and what better way to judge how well you provide than your money.
Yeah,
So, if you have a ton of money, a lot of money set back, obviously you're perceived as more valuable by the society. So if you have something that's pulling away from that, even though, like, I guess from a traditional Judeo-Christian standpoint, being married and having children was being successful, for whatever reason, they never correlated. Like, people never said, oh, you should get married and have a family and be successful and have a lot of money. It's always like, well, you can have a family or you can have a lot of money,
hmm,
and you can pick, and don't fuck up and pick getting married. I'm like, oh, okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, that was almost a cultural norm. Is that almost that, not even almost a cultural norm. It was just that, yeah, get married, have kids, and just get a job and just hope it pays well and bring home the bread every night. But yeah, I mean, but yeah, it was just, I don't know where I'm going with that point, but yeah, it was just stay single, you'll be fine forever. But it's also, it takes a lot, toll on your mental health, I would think, just because
Yeah.
for me it did, especially in the pandemic, just because being a single guy during a pandemic was zero fun.
I mean, what is it? There's only so much that two hands can do. So, you get to the point where, the companionship and, all right, we're going to segue right into that. So you've been talking to a lady, Sheila has been pulling some of that shizzle magic and finding out what it is to be a guy who is fairly off the market now, and getting to the pandemic, single, and then continuing hopefully with Sheila Select and a
Oh yeah.
significant other therein. Um, I guess couple quick questions then for you. First,
Okay.
do you think that your ability to communicate with her has improved as a part of doing Sheila Select?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like kind of what I was just saying earlier is that, when we do start talking about stuff, I have more interesting things to say, I feel like, rather than just I went to CrossFit today and picked up a barbell and ate some chicken and came home, but yeah, we actually can have, these great conversations with, no background noise or anything distract you. And that's just you're focused and you're really having this intimate conversation with somebody. And you're just like, and it's not even, you're just looking at each other's eyes and you're just like, hey, I'm really listening to what you have to say. And I really care, like, to get to know you as a person rather than just, oh, that's cool that you saw that TikTok today or whatever. So, and like, yeah, so this has helped just because, like I was saying, I'm listening deeply to what, she is saying. And I was like, okay, when I come back with something, I want to be, not only to impress her, but actually to say, I'm an interesting guy too. And I know some things and, and it just this communication, like that's one thing that builds relationship, in my opinion, is just that, you know, you can talk all day and you can, but if you're not really you're talking, but not really saying anything, I mean, it doesn't help. And that's where I think, besides, financial reasons and other, social media, but I think a failure to communicate is, what causes hardships in relationships. And
I
yeah,
agree.
yeah,
You know, and I think that with the TikTok, Instagram things that, I mean, I'm guilty of. I'll be sitting literally next to the missus, and I'll be scrolling through stuff, and a lot of the conversations will be like, "Oh, hey, check this out. This is funny. I want you to see it." And it's one of my favorite words. It's distractivation,
mm-hmm.
and you're kind of right. The dog likes it,
Yeah,
but you're doing something and you're not being in the moment with the person or people that you're with. And yeah, you're trying to share similarly to, when we play video games. But I almost want to say that it's not the same, because the video game aspect for us is more like, team sports,
yeah,
where, like you're communicating, you're interacting, you're doing something. This is more like two people, dual threading and then occasionally crossing paths, but it's not that deep and meaningful relationship. So sometimes I have to, focus and tell myself, put your damn phone down,
yeah.
relax. You know,
Exactly. One thing when we, when I'm not going to use her as an example, but just when I'm first actually just talking to somebody without really knowing them, like how I know you, like I would text you different than I would actually meeting. I would text you different now rather than a person I just met, just because
yeah,
they
you
don't
would
really
really.
know me. Yeah. And just because like I'm almost over analyzing like with you, I'll be like, what it do, baby? Some
Yeah.
stupid stuff. But with them, I'm like, all right, I'm almost overthinking my text just because, wait, what if he or she perceives it this way? I don't want to come off as a dick or an asshole, but wait. All right. So, and that's one thing also that I don't know. I mean, I don't know if the podcast has helped with that part of it, but it's one thing that I'm very conscientious now of when I'm even texting somebody, even like, for example, I'll tell you all this off the air, but I had something going on where somebody was texting me back and forth over something, and it could be a big opportunity in my life. And so I was making sure, like, when I was texting them, that it was actually legit professional conversation, not just me putting up stupid emojis saying, all
Right.
right, yeah, later, bro. So,
Hmm.
but that's part of it that I think people do fail to communicate just because of, text can be 14 different ways, just depending on how somebody reads it or one reads it.
Language is tone and
Yeah.
inflection over words. And I guess, okay, second question for you then. Um, do you find that when you're trying to be more professional, um, and this happened for me a lot, I'm still trying to learn and grow as an individual. And the more people you talk to, and sometimes don't talk to, the more that you learn and consume, it takes it from a place of being like milk toast, kind of boring, and because when you start straddling that line, it's like, well, hello, how are you? And it's very blasé. But now, like you've talked to people, you've got stuff coming up. It's not just, yeah, I went to CrossFit and there was the floor and I pushed up on it. And chicken, I put salt and pepper.
Yeah.
Like now you're able to really kind of go in and say, yeah, when I'm ordering, this particular meal off of Hello Fresh or whatever, and that's a shameless plug, even though I'm not sponsored by them. But like when you're getting food or something, like you're able to describe it, like the herbs and the spices and the things that you use. And when you're going into CrossFit, you're like, actually, this time I was able to be, 3% increased on my rep and speed. Like that's something I'm
Mhm.
looking forward to. Measurement, like you yourself become more involved with the topics that you're discussing as opposed to just being bland and kind of just washing over it, which again is entirely atypical from when you're just scrolling through and consuming this mass amount of media and going, it's good. What'd you do? I ate chicken,
Yeah.
kind of shit. So, I mean, do you feel like that's helped you? Because you kind of said the expansion of your communicative even.
Yeah. I mean, for sure. I mean, you know, I try to be more detailed in what I'm saying just because in the saying like, yeah, I ate chicken or whatever, I pushed up on the floor just because, when you start telling if you start telling a story, which I've never been a great storyteller, if you've just been telling somebody about your day or whatever, you almost want somebody to actually feel like, oh, this is what I was feeling. And, I want them to feel almost what I was feeling almost. Now I don't know if I do that 100% of the time, but I try to just because it's opened up to my eyes, for example, um, I did no caffeine October. Well, I started drinking. Yeah. So I did no caffeine and I had maybe one and no alcohol either. And I think I had maybe a beer at your wedding, maybe a beer and a half.
Sober October.
Yeah. But me and my buddies at the gym said, well, why don't we put no caffeine in there? So when we started talking about how, like, because a couple people were like, how's it going? How do you feel? Like, I was able just to say that, oh, I'm actually sleeping better. I'm getting REM sleep and I'm actually dreaming again and having these weird dreams. I don't remember the last time I had a dream. And then I was actually able to go into details about, I actually sat down and figured out, how much caffeine like a Coke has, how much caffeine. Yeah, I don't know if you know what a Fit Aid is, but it's like a CrossFit drink. And then
Yep.
like if you drink one of those Bang energy drinks, but the masses amount of caffeine I was drinking, milligram wise, was ridiculous.
I say you're probably what between 450 a day.
Probably almost more than that just because, well, so as I would have like 2 or 3 cups of coffee in the morning,
Yep.
and that's let's say, 100 milligrams right there, and then a
Yep.
Bang is 200, I think, so right there's
Oh,
5, yeah. So if I actually, yeah, had any more in a Fit Aid, so let's say about 5 to 600 would probably be about right, and but I used to think that, now that well, I guess my point is that I was able to sit down and tell somebody about that, make it like, hey, had them thinking, "Oh, how much caffeine am I actually taking in?" But it blew my mind just because, I was still sleeping at night. I had no trouble sleeping, but I was not getting that deep sleep. And I was not wired all day or anything, but I don't but now, I mean, yeah. So my point is, yeah, I feel like to actually talk thoroughly about, what's going on with me, how I'm feeling, what my thoughts are. And not to any extreme extents, not to anything that's mind blowing, but to me, I've seen improvements with that.
cool, cool.
Yeah. So
All right.
you ever done sober October or anything like that?
I do no shave November. I do decent beard. I go and also do damn near hairy January and February, and then March on strong warrior, and then of course April. Some people it's a girl's name, so they shave, but I don't. Yeah, I'll do that. Now, sober October. A friend of mine was uh, was doing that for a bit, and I was like, good luck, because she's very into craft beers, and
Yeah.
October is a beautiful month for
Oh,
all
yeah.
of my favorite beers personally. All the like the German Marsens, Dunkels, Hefeweizens, like all those good falls. Like, yeah, I could do sober August, June, July. Like, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, here's a lot of IPAs. I'm like, I fuck that. But you hit me in October, I'm like, nah. And then November, December, I'm like, I've got family to deal with, and doing that sober's rough. I haven't done that since I was 18.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the alcohol part really wasn't that tough for me. I mean, I really only drink, like if we're out together at a brewery or something. But then Saturday nights, if I'm sitting at the house, I'd get bored, like, oh, or we're playing online with video
Right.
games, or I'm just watching a movie. So, oh, well, I'll pour myself a drink or two, just
Right.
sit here and relax or whatever. And some nights I might just try to catch that little buzz. But that was really the only times I would drink as far as social gatherings, and just Saturday nights, because I knew Sundays I would really wasn't doing anything. But
Right.
just with coffee, and there's so every drink has caffeine in it, and I had
Oh
no.
yeah.
No, like when I would go to the store, and one night we did a movie night, and I was actually looking for a drink that didn't have caffeine. It's like a soda or something. One thing I just want.
Sprite.
Hey, Sprite would have been good.
Sprite, ginger ale.
Huh. But anyway,
Um,
I just really wanted a Coke. I was like, I gotta find a
yeah.
caffeine-free Coke. I would have took a Pepsi, but
Even
uh,
sweet tea, like traditional
yeah.
Southern style sweet tea. That's it's not an herbal tea that's caffeine free. So
But yeah, it's just like a huge lifestyle. I mean, it's just so easy just to sit down and drink a cup of coffee, or go to a coffee shop and just hang out with somebody. And yeah, and there's so many teas, like you just said, with caffeine in it. It's just, man, I was oblivious to all of how much caffeine we consume on a daily basis just in this country, I guess. So,
oh
uh,
yeah,
yeah, I
try
don't.
going dairy free. See how that treats you.
Ooh, well, I eat a little dairy right now. I'm not, eating tons of it, but yeah,
You take whey protein.
yeah. There you go.
So it's, I mean, going dairy free, like I did that a long time ago when I was serious about working out. As you can tell, I'm not serious about that now, but that's going to be a trend that changes in end of 2021. Let's not put it off to 2022. So
Why
that's
did you decide to cut out dairy? Was that just
it made me feel good, honestly. Like there's a lot of enzymes and heavy food, and you just in your cheeses and your butters and stuff. I mean, it's delicious, but a lot of heavy animal fat, and I just wasn't feeling healthy, wasn't feeling good. So I dropped about 25 pounds in as many days, just cutting out dairy because
wow?
you're not going out and having a bunch of like, oh, you want a quesadilla? No, but I can have the shrimp or the chicken as
Yeah.
one I want to have. And you change up little things, like if you want a taco, you get a street taco. You want to get ice cream. You're like, hey, maybe I just won't. I'll just have lemonade or something instead. It makes you do the same thing like when you're doing the no caffeine. You just have to think about it.
You said at the end of this year you're gonna start back on that? Or
I don't know if I'll do the no dairy entirely, and part of that is messing up your gut biome.
yeah.
Like I do a lot of dairy free stuff now. Like I still do the cheese, but I'll do your higher end organic cheeses because it doesn't seem to have whatever gives you that bubble gut.
Mhm.
But one of the things I really liked was changing out for almond milk and oat milk and doing a lot of cooking with that and things like that.
Are you a big coffee drinker by chance?
Shit, yeah.
Yeah.
I got a T-shirt, uh, and it's a picture of an angry looking bear, and it says, "I drink coffee, hate people, and know things." And that's pretty accurate.
I like it. I like
So
no thanks. Well, when you drink your coffee, do you put sugar and all that stuff
shit,
in your
nah,
cream? Black?
yeah,
Yeah.
like my coffee, like I like my soul, dark, black,
Oh,
cold.
dark black and cool, baby. Yeah. I do miss the taste of coffee, man. I haven't still jumped back onto the coffee train, but I do. Like, now it's starting to get cold again. Like, on my way to work, I would
Oh,
pour me a little thermos. It was just so nice just sipping on coffee, and even when you get to the office. And but I know I'm gonna break down soon, because like, to this morning, I really, really wanted a cup of coffee. And I don't know, part of it was just my brain just probably just telling me I still wanted it. I didn't really need it. I was up, I was fine.
yeah,
And even before my workouts, on some of them, if I knew I had a strenuous workout I was getting ready to go to, that's the reason I would crush a Bang or Rain or whatever
right.
on the way there. Just something was telling my brain, was telling my body I needed that. And that's probably caffeine addiction too. I don't know. And it's part of my, I do still feel that. Like, if I'm like, right now we're doing these tough workouts this week and next, and last week and this week. And like, every time I leave, it's like, oh, maybe I should stop at the store and get one real quick. I just need it. I need it. I need it, but I don't. I really don't. So, right.
Curious. Have you seen any performance change?
No, actually, I haven't I haven't decreased. I haven't really, I'd say I've increased as far as performance. But for example, we had to do a heavy snatch Thursday, no, Friday. And that I've hit the number I actually hit more than what I planned to. So,
There you go.
and that's what was really, mind blowing to me. And it was kind of like, okay, so I mean, there is some. I mean, don't get me wrong, there is benefits to drinking caffeine as far as that,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, the amounts I was taking in ridiculous. And so, like I said, and that was just man, I just could not believe it. I was like, what am I doing? I mean, it's wonder my heart was not going in and out of rhythm all day. So, and maybe it was. I just no clue.
Dude, between
But
that and B12, that'll jack you up.
yeah, for sure. So yeah, dude. Like, and back in roughly 10 years ago, I found out that I had a small ulcer. And I don't know if that was from drinking coffee or why that was there, why it would develop, but I've never had any issues with it. I mean, for example, I have bad allergies. So when I was tested for, man, we're getting deep on me tonight. when
Yeah.
I got, when so back in college, I got allergy tested, and it came up like almonds and tomatoes was I was allergic to. But I still eat them now, but nothing happens. I mean, it might cause inflammation somewhere in my body, I guess, but it's not deathly
Tom
allergic.
Brady would say no to the tomatoes, man, because he's all about that no nightshade shit and stuff like that.
Oh
Where,
yeah,
yeah, because anything that causes inflammation, I'm like, well, okay.
huh? I didn't realize that.
He's super old, so he moved to Florida too. So I think that helped him out.
But I took CBD for a while, and that's supposed to help
Right.
with inflammation.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know if I can't notice a big difference when I take it, but I mean, I felt like I did sleep better while taking that though too. But I've heard that is like sleep better, reduce inflammation. I think reduce anxiety. So there's some benefits to that, but
Yep.
it's a little expensive. So I take it for a little bit, then I've quit on and go back to it, and vice versa. So
All right. What you hollering at in the hand?
oh, this is a cherry limeade seltzer water.
Nice.
Yeah. So I've been drinking a lot more of these and
No
Zevious.
caffeine.
Well, I'm back. Am drinking caffeine again, but just not like vast amounts. Like so, I had a Coke last night. Went and saw Eternals last night, bro.
I've heard lackluster things. What's your opinion on it?
So I liked it. She liked it. It was typical Marvel movie.
Yeah.
It was fun. It had a great story. It talked about even the Avengers and stuff at parts, but they actually, and I told her that it had some philosophical meanings in it because there was a lot about, living forever and do you want to be immortal forever? And then, about, why is mankind and civilization causes wars? It's because it's to invent further things down the road. Then we have another war and it pushes us to, keep increasing technology and innovating. And there was a lot of little things like that. And it was like, never thought of that in that light. But, one kept, thinking was to me was that, they were talking about, living forever. And I don't want to do any spoilers or anything, but it's like, man, would I want to live forever? About, and they're almost, taking their conscience and they didn't put it in anybody's other body or anything. But it's like, they say that aging is actually being a disease now.
They're
So,
treating it as such so that you can.
so you can live forever almost like they're actually starting to put more work into it. And I hope I didn't butcher that, but it's something along there like aging is just not getting older anymore. They're actually trying to say it's a disease and they're trying to prevent it. And it's like, who would I want to live forever? What I want if like we had the technology you see in movies, what I want, and I'd like to get your thoughts on this. Like, would you want your mind being put into another human body so that you could live forever?
So that's the premise of what was
Yeah.
on Netflix.
Yeah.
Shit.
Does it got Ryan Reynolds in it?
No. It's got
I'm thinking
the other guy that played in RoboCop. Um, oh God, I want to say Skins. I know that's not it. All right.
that's why. I think it's a different movie then.
Uh, Starting season 2 was Hawkman.
Clint?
Uh, Hold on. I'm gonna see it as soon as I'm gonna feel like not. I'm gonna feel like a complete idiot. But anyways, the whole point was that you could sleeve up and go into different bodies, and then
Oh, so you could always change your body every day.
yeah, and there was some synesthesia. That's my word of the day. Yeah, I can't remember the damn show, but synesthesia is a word I can call upon. So the whole point was that as you were getting into bodies that weren't your own, And they would even clone bodies so that you could jump back into your old, I guess, form factor.
Yeah.
If you were in a different one, then what would end up happening is like you'd eventually start experiencing hallucinations, these kind of weird out of body experiences. But it followed a a guy who was born, I want to say Japanese, and the main star was the RoboCop guy. I'm just gonna reverse Google this. So
Yeah.
God, I said Hawkman. I meant Falcon. Um, what is that dude's name? It's actually a pretty good actor. He's on
Wait, you talking about Black
Black
Mirror?
Mirror. Yeah, he's on Black Mirror. No, that was
Yeah. Okay. That was a trippy episode. The
yeah,
one he was going.
Samuel Wilson played by, come on.
Ooh, I want to talk to you about the metaverse too. See what your thoughts
I'm pretty excited about the metaverse, and I can continue googling this. Anthony Mackie. God. So I'm going to take an ass whooping for that. But yeah, Anthony Mackie played in season 2 of it, and it is called. Wow, he's been in a lot of stuff. Altered Carbon. That's
are.
it.
Hey, yeah, I watched that. Okay.
So yeah, similar,
Forgot all about that.
right? Like it had the highest watched series when it first came out, and like Netflix did a bunch of promos. But then season 2, again they brought
Yeah.
Anthony Mackie, who he does a really good job, but just didn't catch on. So I think Netflix gave it the chop. I've not heard of season 3 coming out.
Yeah, I don't think the second season, yeah, like you just said, it caught any fire. But what do you think though? I mean, is that something you would subscribe to, that if somebody said, "Hey John, we can let you live forever"?
So it becomes a point of like, is it live forever with the option out? And you see a lot of these different movies and shows that try to contemplate with the idea of living forever. What would it be to be immortal? Is it immortality with conditions? Is it eternal youth? Is it prime viability? Are you able to be anything greater than human? Are you able to travel? All of these things kind of culminate in the idea of like, at what point are you able to really experience everything in a way that continues to bring you joy, meaningfulness?
Mhm.
And a lot of these characters that they pursue that are over anywhere from a couple hundred years to several thousands of years, is that they eventually just get bored and they want to opt out and can't. Keanu Reeves has a new comic called Berserker, and it's supposed to be like he's been around since the beginning of time, and he doesn't understand it, but he can't die, and like he's basically does stuff for the U.S. military, and the condition is he's like, I'll help you do these various insurgent activities and stuff, where he's taking the lead, but he's like, you guys have to help me figure out how to kill myself. He's like, I've been around, it's like 50,000 years or something,
Yeah.
and just like I hate it. And so you ask yourself, like, would people be that way? All the vampire mythos and things like that, where they're living for hundreds of years and they either get bored or crazy. And yeah, I guess it's easy to not think about because you don't have the option,
Yeah.
but it is something that if it popped up, it's it would be too interesting to pass up and just say, all right, able to continue to do and live and experience, but at the same time, is there like, after a couple hundred, few thousand years, if you're like, what, actually, no, thank you. I think it's time for me to pass naturally on into the mystic. I think that would that be part of it. And plus, again, if you're healthy and able to really do and live, like, I mean, would you want to be immortal living in a wheelchair, unable to move?
No.
Like that'd be its own special kind of health.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
No.
a little deep, but
Yeah, no, and that's what I wanted to get you, because that's what I was literally thinking about, while watching that movie. And it's just like, man, like, for example, I heard one time that somebody phrased it this way, that, let's say we just said Eternal. So if Infinity War and Endgame, or could be arguably one of the better movies of this past few years,
yeah.
but it's what, a 3 hour movie or so. So, and they
Right.
almost very similar to what you were saying. I might echo it a little bit, but saying that, you're enjoying that movie for 3+ hours and you're just loving it. You're taking it all in, but it's almost like your life, do you want it to end? You don't want to sit there and watch that movie forever and ever and ever. You want to change. So it's just like, I don't want my life to be the same thing forever and ever and ever. And especially if you're immortal and no everyone around you is not immortal. I mean, they're all dying off. I mean, so for example, with the Eternals, one of them said every 5 years they had to move to a new city because people would start asking questions like, "Why do you not age?" And they couldn't really release their secret identities. I don't know if it's a secret identity, but it released why
Right.
really what was going on. I was like, man, that's not maybe the greatest lifestyle you think it would be. It's fun to think about, but like you just said, when it gets down to it, I mean, if you're healthy, that's one thing, but if you're living forever in a wheelchair, it's not.
Right. Or if you're constantly having to, like, if you build a life in 5 years that you enjoy and you have to peace out and go somewhere else, like that's a toll in its own right. And you think now, you know, it was very different when mail and face-to-face communication and horse and buggy was something. But as technology and transportation continues to improve, other than our ability to intake ships in the U.S., hashtag
Mhm.
too soon. But as that continues to increase, you're finding yourself less and less alone in the world and the universe, and that there's tons of people that can reach out to you at any time. Um, work again, being fortunate enough to work with people literally everywhere in the world, and soon, hopefully having more of these, I won't say temporary satellites or semi-permanent structures, because we're already popping up, and I think it's like 400K. You get to jump up into space like Captain Kirk, and I can't believe he made it and Leonard Nimoy didn't. That kind of sucks. Would have been hell of a shot for that. But again, being able to go out into space and all of a sudden, like, communicating while you're in space, you're traveling around the universe and having an infinite lifespan, because it would take you what's like 1,000 years to make it to the end of our solar system, something
I
ridiculous.
guess I don't even know.
And that's just hanging out in a ship, traveling, being bored out of your mind with all the media potential, things that you got. But there's all of that being said, we continue to expand, but as part of that expansion, we're becoming more interconnected. So even this idea of like moving every 5 years, I have no idea how, other than faking your own death every single 5 years, that people wouldn't, be like, oh, hey, you moved from New York to Boston. Oh, good to see you. How have you been?
Yeah.
Kind of shit. Like, I mean, even with massive amounts of wealth, even now it'd be very, very difficult to hide your wealth, your status, unless you just want to live, broke as a joke, and kind of like, wandering nomad, like Kane and Kung Fu.
Oh yeah. Good point. I mean, when you just said interconnected, I mean, this is one thing I wanted to bring up, like I said a few minutes ago. But what do you think about the metaverse? I
It'll be
mean,
fun. I mean, I've been looking forward to it. It's how every time one of these, either DC or Marvel, and they realize they fucked things up in the '90s when they're like, oh shit, we wrote something that doesn't make sense in the canon. Because quite frankly, having that many minds working together to try to create a singular universe, you're just going to have plot holes. It happens. But then all of a sudden the metaverse opens it up, and it's like, well, what if? And if this changed, then that. And 52, DC 52, I think that was the big thing, where it's like their version of the metaverse. So now they're able to bring in and out, like, what if Superman was raised in Russia? What if Lois Lane died? Like the whole Injustice, DC's fighter game slash, I guess, movie
oh
animated
yeah, I
right
remember
now.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, it basically goes when Joker uses Scarecrow fear gas laced with kryptonite, hits hits Superman in the face with it, and Superman is like, he's having a time. He's like, "Fuck it, I'm just gonna take care of the Joker." Flies him up into space, and as Joker dies, the fear toxin wears off, and he realizes that he just took up Lois Lane, pregnant with his child, up into space and killed her. So
Yeah.
Superman, he has a moment and kills the Joker, and there's basically like this huge thing that happens. I was like, well, that's a hell of a way to start off a complete what if. So,
This isn't
do you,
what you said, DC-52? I didn't mean to cut you off there, but
no, that's Injustice.
oh, that's a part of the video game.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
it was pretty in deep. But again, the DC-52 gives you the same thing as the Marvel Metaverse, where it's like alternative what ifs, things like that. And it's really cool because now you can start, the Spider Verse. And if you were able to, have you seen the like introduction of, well, I guess introduction to TV, Miles Morales, where he's one of various uh,
Yeah, he's one of the different
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. Yeah.
Yeah, then the Spider Verse brings them all together. So now No Way Home is going to be that, and we're seeing Doc Ock come back as the actual actor who played it with Tobey Maguire, and that's going to be super fun. J. Jonah Jameson, of course, is only played by one man, and he is Omni Man, so we give him much respect. It was actually really good. Invincible Season One on Amazon was very close to the comics. They changed a few things, but nothing that led to less gravitas, and they nailed that quite well.
What was this? Invincible?
Invincible, yeah, it's the animated series on Amazon. So they did a really good job with the boys and made a lot of money. And I'm like, okay.
I like that.
And then they took the Invincible comic written by the same guy that did Walking Dead.
Okay.
It's Superman-ish kind of thing. So he did that, and it's a lot of fun. Great read, and yeah, check it out. Yeah, I'm super pumped because now they're able to really just take the stories of all of these various characters and just go ape shit without having to really tell people, oh yeah, this is 100% canon and you need to commit it to memory because now it's part of the story. It's like, well, it's part of one of an infinite amount of stories. Yeah. And it gives writers the ability to, again, like have fun, communicate their story that they want to, and then if they need to, take backseat. Just kidding. It's actually that happened over here, not here. And it also kind of keeps the gatekeeping trolls out. The ones that are like, oh, you like Marvel Comics? Name everybody that was in the third X-Men group.
Oh shit.
So,
well, I mean, do you think you're going to get a lot of pushback just because there is people like, oh yeah, no, I want it to stay. The story's like how it is. I don't want to see it go off into this different verse or this different era. I like the original stuff. I mean,
well, absolutely. And there's an old Anderson credo. Fuck them, they'll be all right. So that's just how it is. Like if they want to continue, you want to live forever, you want to keep watching the old stuff, fine. Don't subscribe to the new stuff.
Well, people don't like change, man. You know how it is.
No, I mean, you don't like what they're pushing out at you, Karen. Don't go to shop at Target. Just figure your shit out.
Yeah.
But people forget that the right to choose also means the right that other people can do the same. And it's almost as if it shuts down once it goes outside that bubble.
Yeah. Yeah, John. I mean, I don't know, man. I think, I agree 100% that if you don't want to watch anything, if you don't want to listen to it, it's easy to just hit a button, turn it off, block it, whatever. But not everyone thinks that way, unfortunately. So
hurt my feelings.
Yeah, and they want to make sure everyone knows about it. Then they get on Twitter and make sure they get their Twitter army ready to go.
Oh, let me see if I can get you canceled in 2 sentences or less.
Oh God.
Let's see here. Dave Chappelle, not like Chick-fil-A. People want to talk about it and being like, "Oh, we're going to cancel you," but motherfuckers in line trying to fill their gullets and bellies. Every time he has a show, it's sold out. And the guy at Chick-fil-A was like, "Oh, I don't like the homosexual community." People are like, "We're going to boycott them." Yeah, that boycott lasted all of about 30 seconds. Every time I passed by Chick-fil-A, I was like, "Motherfucker, are they giving it away?"
Exactly, dude. It doesn't matter what time you go either, man.
Nah.
Like I always say, like, oh yeah, it's after lunch right now. We'll be fine. No big deal. Nope.
I see people in the parking lot and it's a Sunday. I'm like, the fuck? Like,
yeah, if you really, I read something one time like, hey, if you really want to impress me, bring Chick-fil-A to me on a Sunday.
Right.
But yeah, man. It's a crazy
world. People have a lot of power and opinions and authority, and they've been pushing things, and cancel culture isn't new. It's funny that people are like, oh, there's this group of people that are trying to cancel. So I was like, are you familiar with human history at all? Because I'm pretty sure that the entirety of it is the winner's rights to suppress, or promote any information that they want. So we don't have a physical war going on right now. Here, Afghanistan's doing well because of that. But jokes aside, we do have the cyber war that's going on where it's just information and people. It used to be about being right. Now it's about being first, and then hopefully correcting it so that you're right enough that you don't get attacked later. And it's a very interesting prospect. People are like, "Well, I'm offended." It's like, "Well, why do I fucking care?" It's like, "Well,
Wow.
me and 3,000, 10,000, 100,000 of my friends are now going to, bombard you with hate and slander and things like that." And it's like, okay, so all y'all are assholes and you have a gang of assholes, and your gang ascribes to a certain belief, kind of like organized religion. But if you say that, then it pisses them off, and
I mean,
then
do
it
you
pisses off
think
other people too.
that could be partly because, like, all right, so, when you and I think, and we may have talked about this before, so sorry, folks, if you've heard this before, but if, like we get on video games and we're talking about shit to each other and we're saying stupid shit. I mean, we're just fucking around with each other.
Yeah, can't stream a damn lick of that.
Exactly. But, we know we're just joking around. We don't mean any of it. We're just giving each other a hard time. But you do think, maybe because in today's society that, we almost live in we do live in a swipe society, I guess you could say, but parents have overprotected their children so much that, if you do, like, that's what they learn growing up. Anytime harm or something comes their way, they're automatically supposed to voice their opinion and say, no, that's bad. This is not fun. Now, that's probably a poor way to put it, but that's kind, what kind of what I'm saying.
I'm feeling the energy, and it's I think that parents and children voicing their opinion, like, I don't like this, is perfectly healthy. But then it's like, I don't like this. Like, well, fine, you don't have to fucking like it. Didn't ask you if you liked it, and quite frankly, I figured you wouldn't like it. But I don't give a shit. Like, it's also a perfectly reasonable response.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't like it that I'm not getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to fucking exist,
That's right.
and making that Elon Musk money just because I show up all handsome, waking up fresh. But the fuck do you do? And people are trying to. I think they're trying to feel validated because especially the kids now, because you can't go to school anymore because various COVID mandates, and oh, we're going to do virtual or we're going to do there. So I mean, school shootings have dropped. That's nice, but
Right.
the other part of that is we have taught an entire generation that it's 0 100. The YOLO lifestyle is it's real. It's a thing, and we've gotten a lot of pros and a lot of negatives. We've gotten people that are like, oh, well, you need to show up to the job, and I know that you're sick and that it's storming outside and it's super unsafe for you, but you need to come in here and work because I fucking said so. And they're like, actually, no, you're an asshole, and I quit. And you're seeing a lot of positive feedback from that. Employers are like, oh, we can't treat people like shit anymore. That's pretty cool. But then you also get people that are like, well, you know, I see you wearing a mask when you go into a store, and I don't think you should wear a mask. And it's like, okay, I'm not making you wear one versus not. The fuck,
Yeah.
like, why are you trying to get up in my business? And I always like to take the anti-maskers approach on that one, because it's like, oh, you have to wear a mask is very common, like mandatory vaccines. And I think I said that on your show last time I was on, that was coming down the pipe from the DoD, because whatever the military prescribes as requirements typically will go through large industry, and then of course follow through with schools and stuff like that. But
Sure.
that's a whole other topic.
Well, real quick, did you just said Elon Musk? Did you see? Obviously, he just became like the richest man and
He's
all
been
the
that.
time. Yeah. But
He's
anyway,
been
did what I was getting at, what the UN said that, yeah, if he would give up his shares to Tesla or
six
something,
$6 billion
that they could
would
solve
cure world
world
hunger.
hunger. Yeah. And he was like, yeah, all right, well, show me. If you
Yeah,
show me how, I'll be happy to do it.
yeah. I thought that was the right call. You get a lot
Exactly.
of these numbers, and he's like, yeah, give me do public postings of where the money's being spent, how you're solving it. He's like, I'll cash it out tomorrow. And they're like, he's like, nah, motherfucker. Like, yeah, you're fine putting up my money in a bullshit argument. Tell me what's good. And if you can. And of course, and properly shut the fuck up, because it's one of those things where it's like they're not gonna explain how $6 billion could solve it. It was just one of those bullshit things to attack the wealthy. I was like, you can call him a what is that, Dogecoin dumping dick, because he went and said, "Oh, buy Doge," and then everybody bought Doge, and he sold his, and he's like, "Hey, I made a fuck lot of money." Everybody's like, "You're an asshole." Like, "Oh, yeah, you're a dick." But to have these government organizations come out and say, like, just randomly, like, "Oh, see this rich guy over here? Like, yeah, we've been blowing hundreds of millions of dollars, and more people are dying from poverty. But if this one dude figured it out, we would be fine." He's like, "Well, fuck you then. If you know it, be about it and tell me." And they're like, so I think it's good.
They don't mind spending all that money when it comes to war and stuff, So they dump all the money they can. And so
Was it 132 private jets were used for the yeah. Well, we're destroying the environment, and we need to make sure that we stop using fossil fuels. So, in the literal year that everyone's figured out how to use Zoom and other technologies to communicate remotely, we're going to fly our very large private jets. Oh, yeah, when jet fuel prices are extra high, out to a singular location during a pandemic in which we're all supposed to be vaccinated, yet also maintaining social distancing. The fact that none of their PR people really reached out to them, I was like, okay, all right. Let's see what you're doing there. Fuck it up.
Did you see the other day where Biden was falling asleep at that global warming conference or whatever?
Everything after at that was just standard. You see Biden falling asleep? Yes, yes. Anytime I turn on the TV, he's nodding off. And I mean, he was doing it years ago, but usually there's a child's head underneath TV. So
Big John, let's take this one home, man.
All right, well, buddy, been a fun year getting to watch your show grow and flow. So happy to be a part of it for the little bit that I have. And like I said, hopefully throw in enough hashtags to get you noticed by the wrong people. It's I will say this in the closure. It's amazing how many people are like sending death threats. Like Fauci got death threats or something, and all of these people that are like, "Oh, we're super aggressive. Like, what would you do if I broke into your home?" And that was probably one of my more fun Twitter comments, because people are like, "What would you do if I broke in?" And people are responding with like just ridiculous shit. One guy was from Texas, and he's like, "Yeah." You can pick the easy way or the hard way. The easy way is the wheelchair. The hard way is the door. They're like, "Why is the wheelchair the easy way?" He's like, "Because if you pick the wheelchair, I have to remember to stop so I can wheel you out." And I think we're going to see in the next 5 years a lot more people just getting hit in the face. It's like you're going to say something stupid, you're going to get belted in the mouth for it, and you're going to come out with one of two things. You're either going to be like, "Yep, I absolutely believe that this is the right opinion and that I need to fight for it," and it's going to have some people grow and develop there. Or people are going to be like, "Nope, that's fucking wrong, and I'm real sorry. I'm not going to say that again." But either way, it's going to start course correcting itself. So I'm excited.
Good. Yeah, let's have a positive note to end this one on. So it's so anyway, John, you've been a good friend, good supporter of this. I appreciate you a whole lot for it. You don't know how much I do. So again, thank you for being here for this episode. I'm glad you were. So
I'd be a part of it, baby.
Yeah, man. So like I said, let's end it on a good positive note, and we'll be back at sometime, ladies and gentlemen. We don't know when, but we'll schedule it again. He'll be here. Don't worry about it. If you want to, do you want to give out your socials and all that? If people want to look you up or stuff, or you don't have to.
And my social security number is and cut. I'll post some hashtags.
Okay. Good deal. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are gone. Thank you for listening and all that good stuff and supporting this podcast. All right, we're out of here. Bye.